Hey guys, Matt here. It's the Broken Supercoach checking in. Um, just going to go through teams dropped last night. We've also got some real spanners tonight. So let's have a look. Or not tonight, but over the weekend. Some real spanners, especially if you're running that Bruce Hayes combo. If you were looking to bring in a defensive rookie this week in Cleary, what are you going to do now? So obviously my trade from the weekend has been from Monday has been totally blown up. Um, we'll have to take a look and see what other options we've got, but we'll quickly go through the team. So a new in Matt Roberts, he'd been on the edge of selection. You'd think he'd been named in the emergencies quite often. So named at half forward, not a good super coach role, but he had a very good super coach scores. In his junior year. I remember in play for South, he had some pretty good numbers up there with Horn Francis. In fact, I felt that he slid really far. I thought he was a really good player. So, these are a lot of outs though, but they are omitted. So whether because you think Rowbottom and Reed would just be Hickey and one of these two, and then Kennedy injured. So is Roberts just a replacement for Kennedy, and then Rowbottom goes into the middle a little bit? Who knows? But we might see some games for him. That would be handy. Depends how long Kennedy's out for. I think it's a little while. So not a lot here to talk about. Really, not a lot to talk about. We still got our boy Gibcus doing work. I'll keep him this week. A lot of people have traded him, but I'll keep him. High break even, but he's a reliable. He's not on field. He's a reliable 60 odd, whatever. I'll keep him till his bye, which is pretty soon. But yeah, not really much there. If you still Dylan Stevens still getting named in the emergencies, obviously fallen out of favour. Paddy McCartan, love to see it. Luke Parker still and Heaney named as a follower. So you like all those. You like Mills named first there as well. So nothing wrong with that. Brisbane, not a lot to talk about through Brisbane. I think a lot of people have Zorko's been playing on the halfback. I think Neil's still named here. Coleman named on the bench, low on the bench. I don't know if that means anything. Some teams it does, some it doesn't. I'm happy with him. Probably won't play him on field this week as well, but maybe we'll see. GWS, so here's the big one. No Bruce in. Named in the emergencies, Flynn as R1. So Ware's playing as well, but Flynn held his spot. Cornelio named on ball. No Whitfield in either. So if you've now got Whitfield and Bruce, you would be concerned about what you're going to do, especially if you're relying on both of them to have good scores. Whitfield, I think the defense has got through McCartan and Gibcus. If you took Coleman, DeConning, I think we've got coverage for defense. It's not that big a rush, which is why I don't like the idea of bringing in a defensive premium at the moment. But yeah, boy, that's a spanner. Look, there's a chance he's a late in, but I wouldn't have thought so. You think they would have named if he was going to be if it was a day on the day test, they'd name him at R1 or on the bench and name Flynn as the emergency and do a laid out that way. So I don't think he's playing. I think it's a case of Flynn held his spot and Bruce is probably 50%. And worst case, he can come in as an emergency. So I would say, so that is a massive spanner in our works. I just don't know what to do. And the way it falls now is that if you're running Bruce Hayes and Dixon, you might need to trade Bruce this week, even though he's probably going to be a keeper for the whole season. But just to trade up to a real ruckman. A couple of ins for the Crows. Nothing really relevant Supercoach-wise. Miller is finally in, who I think is quite cheap. So we'll keep an eye on him. Could be a good value pick. He'll play the rest of the year, you'd think. Nothing worth seeing there. And nothing worth seeing here. We've still got DeConning named. We love that. Interesting, Cooper Stevens named again. So we don't mind that. He is a good rookie choice. It's played now 2 weeks in a row, which is good. Named on field, we like. They've got a fairly large injury list. you don't like seeing Dangerfield named here. I mean, he's out for a while, but you don't like seeing that with Cooper Stevens here, as well as, he debuted a month ago, so it's not like he missed a couple of games. So I think he's a big sub risk as well. They, Knevitt, Stevens seem to be interchangeable as players for him. They still got Dalehouse and Narkle, which you think, in an ideal world, you think are better players, but it's probably Myers who goes out first for Dalehouse and then Stevens. So we'll see. Not a lot to talk about here. Yeah, so we've still got the other rookie everyone's talking about is Jeffrey. Where is he? He's here somewhere. I swear he plays for this. Joel Jeffrey, named at half forward. I don't. He's forward only, which is a real concern. I don't like forward only players. But the amount of ins and out on this team, it's so risky. Fiorini must have slept with Stuart Drew's wife after playing a game like he did on the weekend to get dropped. So that's the only explanation there. We've seen some interesting names. Elijah Holland's here. We like seeing him named as a emergency. Perhaps we'll get him late in the year as a downgrade option. Yeah, Joel Jeffrey I don't really like, but he's one of the only options. And when I say who I do like, it looks even stupider to say. So, yeah, against Hawthorn, another good rookie here. Not good, but Sam Butler. Absolutely woeful scoring, but he's DPP, so you can hide him on the bench. Sicily named down back. You probably trade Raul as well, by the way, this week, if you've still got him. I think there's much to talk about with Melbourne, and not a lot to talk about with Fremantle either. Darcy named at R1. You like to see that because he probably, if Bruce is out, he's probably the one you go to, just because you just can't trust Gawn at the moment. Sorry to say. And it'll be very interesting to see this game play out. So I'd rather not trade either of these two and just see what happens, Darcy versus Gawn. But we'll see. My boy English finally back, held him for 8 weeks. In hindsight, I would have traded him. So just look, I know you should hold big premiums, and this guy was R1, F1 at the time, but in hindsight, knowing how long I held him, I held 572k on the bench for while I was trying to make up places. I probably should have traded him to Gawn at the time, or Darcy at the time, perhaps. Whoever, or Heaney or someone taking his money back, and then tried to get English later in the year if he was relevant. But versatile, he's helped me out this week. Funnily enough, he's actually saved me a 0. Or not really, but coming back this week, he's saved me big time because I have 2 ruckmen who may not play this week. So at least I've got one who's playing. I don't care. Named at R1, I don't care what he gets. If he gets me a 90, I'm happy. Dunkley Bont. Bont is one named in the forward line you've got to love. May go close to forward status, and if there was a defender to bring in, I would probably bring him in this week, but it's just I just don't like his buy, round 13 buy. So I'll be looking at Bont or Bailey Smith after the round 13 buy. Luke Cleary drop just shows that he's not a reliable rookie, but geez, he's the one. And there's Buku Kamas named, so how frustrating that Buku Kamas was probably the correct defense rookie over Cleary, who's played miles better than him. So because Supercoach has called Buku Kamas a defender, has he not? I might be wrong there. And nothing relevant for West Coast. And then we've got the Sunday team. So we're going to need to wait till the Savo to see who's named through here. But I don't think there's any real big ins. There's a big chance that Jack Carroll is out this week because Jack Martin's named again. So unless Carroll's been good enough to hold that position, I think Jack Martin goes for Carroll. But you never know. They may just play Jack Martin as a sub. Jack Carroll could even be the sub. So really risky there. Keep an eye on Jack Carroll if you've got him. Because he's in that danger zone now. So again, these rookies that we thought were good. It's funny what a week can do. These rookies we thought were good are now not good. And I'm talking about Rosas. I'm talking about Hobbs. I'm talking about Jack Carroll. Um, who else? I talk about Cleary if you'd gone early on Cleary. Um, just so many rookies that just go within a week or two, go from great to good. A lot of ins here for Essendon, Philip Zerkzakcha, Ham, Ridley. You think, yeah, Ridley named straight on the field. Tex Wanganeen named on the low bench. So there's a 100k player that I wouldn't go anywhere near. If you're 100k and you've played 3 games, you're not Supercoach relevant at all. What else we got? And Nick Martin named again, but I think it's time to go on Nick Martin. He's made his money. Their buys really soon. I wouldn't be too stressed about getting rid of him this week, just to freeze the cash bleed on him. But if you want to hold him because you've got to do something in your rucks, he's always been a reliable 80 up until recently. Zerk Thatcher obviously named at fullback as well. They need someone who can defend. Jake Kelly's robbing them for a living here. Nothing relevant out. So there's the other one. So Charlie Dixon named at full forward. Jeremy Finlayson named at ruck 1, which means that our boy Sam Hayes, who was only a short-term solution anyway for Lysette, has now been named on the bench. Now, does he make it into the team? There's no injury cloud as far as I'm aware. It could just be a structure thing where they don't want Marshall, Dixon, Finlayson, Hayes on the field at the same time, and Georgiadis, obviously. So they don't want those 5 on the field at any one time. So they're naming him on the bench, and Hayes will start from the bench, and he could rotate through the ruck, through the forward line. But the concern for Hayes now is he does a lot of the rucking. And like I've said in the last few weeks that his fitness is woeful. He's a very good ruckman, but he can't run out games. So it could be a strat now that instead of resting him in the forward line, they'll rest him on the bench. So you could see Sam Hayes play at 50% game time. And perhaps all he does is attend centre bounces. Perhaps all he does is attend, ruck contests in the defensive half or forward, middle half, defensive half, in those 2/3. I just don't know I just think we could be in real trouble with Sam Hayes with Charlie Dixon back now. But we'll see. If he's named, I think you just have to hold him. I'm pretty sure he's got a relatively low break even. 52 break even, which even as a bad ruckman, you should break that. Even Bailey J. Williams was getting close to 50s. So I don't think that's too bad. And that beats Bruce, who is not playing. So at least you can have a guy playing. But if Sam Hayes is dropped and Bruce is named on the bench, you have to address you're relying on one of them for a score. You have to address your ruck this week. So I've got a plan for that. Luckily it's all Sunday, so I've got a plan for that. And you wouldn't think there's anything relevant with these teams. Archer new, what's he? I've just straight up never heard of him. Jackson Archer as a defender, named on the extended bench though, so perhaps he doesn't come in. But there's one. If he actually does get a run, we could see something. We could see a downgrade option at the buys at a couple of weeks. So that's handy. It's handy to know. So that's the teams. So what does that mean for trades? Well, it means we're in trouble. With no Cleary, we can't just do Dacos down. And what I didn't mention is that Dacos was named last on the extended bench. So there's also a risk that he doesn't play this week, which isn't the worst, unless you've got Whitfield, of course. But it's not the worst because if he is a laid out, I probably wasn't going to field him. Coleman probably gets the field position over him. And if he misses, well, his break even's 88. So he's probably doing us a favor if he's a laid out. So not the end of the world for Dacos. And it also means that you can delay trading him if you have to. So I'm pretty happy with that if he's a laid out. Also gives me an option to loop someone because GW, if Bruce is out and I hold, which is what I think I'll do, his loop is Friday, so I'm not going to vice captain anyone tonight. You'd think. I suppose you could try to run a cheeky vice captain through Parker, which I might do, just to see, but probably just end up captaining McRae against West Coast Eagles. There's a little preview. So in the mids, so we're going to trade Martin for sure, and that's the tricky part, isn't it? So who else do we go? Like, I want to bring upgrades in, so I can just do Martin for a mid, which would be Walsh, which works really well, which I'm really happy with. I can afford it. If you go to the 3-round average, Martin for Walsh just works straight off the bat, and I might just do that if Hayes is named. So that could be the only thing I do this week. Otherwise, I mean, the other option is to, if Bruce and Hayes is out, then I need to do one of these, and that then says I would trade Bruce, honestly. I'd trade Bruce. I'd have to go, I'd trade Hayes because he's the less reliable one. I'd go for Darcy, just because I don't trust Gawn at the moment. If you go Gawn, he's 580. He's got a break even of 180. He's injured. If we can get that to come up, that would be nice. He hasn't scored over 100 in a month of footy. He is currently carrying an injury. He has to be. It's around 14 bye. So all the rucks are on around 14 bye, except for Wits. So you do that, or otherwise you do Darcy, and you look at Darcy. You pay the same price for Darcy, $5.91. Huge break even. But at least he's had some scores. It's just because he's carrying a 50 in his, which I just hate to see it. Yeah, so, yeah, look, I really honestly hate having to choose. Or do I just scurry back with my tail between my legs and come back to Wits, who I traded for 400k, saying that he probably wouldn't make much more money than that when I traded him here. I traded him when here for 450. So I've paid up another 170k to get him back in. Or did I do it here? It doesn't matter. It's 200k down the drain. Do I just do that? The issue there is that Wits has a round 13 bye, and that's just I'm not these round 13 bye players are going to kill me. So I hate to not lock in a trade in front of you guys. So we're going to trust that Hayes is picked, and that Hayes will field us. And we're going to just go our original plan, which was Walsh. Walsh for Martin. Because honestly, if I'm being serious with you, those rookie options this week are trash. So I'm not going to do one. I'll hold Dacos. I'm just going to hit complete here. We're going to do that. We'll go through them as well. Give me a tick. Right, sorry about that, guys. Just had to relock in that trade. There were some issues there. So, yeah, Martin for Walsh. Pretty happy with that as it looks. But like I said, if I've got to bring in Darcy here, I will. I think you hold Bruce because surely he plays the week after. When's his bye? I mean, I don't want to ruin my structure. I planned on English and Bruce the whole time. With an easy downgrade. He's around 12 bye, so if Bruce can play... Oh, that's frustrating. So Bruce is out now 2 weeks. Well, 3 weeks straight if you do that. So I think you almost have to trade him, isn't it? If he's out. Yeah, I just don't think you... Yeah, look, really tricky, really tricky. I wouldn't be against trading Bruce. The issue is I want him. I wanted him. I don't think I've got the trades, the luxury to do it. And he turns into no one if I go Walsh. Because the opposite is you bring in, like I was going to say, sorry, it's been like 5 minutes of trying to fix this website. the rookies that we've got here are trash. Stranigan not playing. Luke Cleary dropped. I've got Saligo. Cooper Stevens, don't really like it. Joel Jeffrey, don't really like it. Riley West, don't really like it. And all the rest are too expensive. And then there's another one down here who isn't even in a negative break even. That's how bad he is. Sam Butler, who isn't even in a negative break even. Think about that for a second. But he's DPP. That's why I bring him up. So he's probably the one I bring in. Cooper Hamilton, again, not named. I think if you're bringing in anyone this week, maybe it's Cooper Stevens. When did he play? 8, so he missed a week. Reliable 60. Maybe you can bring in Stevens, but you do not want that man on field. So how do you do that? Let's do it. Let's just do if I have to bring in a rookie to bring in Sean Darcy, let's see what it looks like. So you go Bruce here. You go, so you say you're trading. Can I do it through Hayes? That would be the one I like. Can I do it through Hayes? Martin. Yes, I can. So you bring in Stevens. But then the issue is, who do you field in that 9th spot, which is the weakest midfield spot? So Cooper Stevens. You probably try to do Robbie McComb on field. I know Saligo's had some good scores, but I think he's playing half forward this week. So probably McComb on field, and then it's just a case of Darcy getting on field. And it looks like that. Then you're holding Bruce, but then the idea is that you've got cover. You run Bruce the whole time. You wait. You pick up. I send English back as a forward. Kind of kills the structure though. And then my last forward, at some point I trade Cameron into Bontempelli. Really hate it though. Really hate it. So if we could just see what happens this afternoon. And I probably am just going to go. We'll still field him because we want him as a late. If he's a late in, we're still holding out hopes that he does that. We go like this, and we like McComb as the emergency here. So Martin for Walsh is probably the play. We really hope Hayes is picked, and we hope Bruce comes back in a couple of weeks to look after us. That's what we're going to do. So really tricky week. So frustrating. If you're trading out, the other one is if you're trading out Dacos this week, you can easily go Dacos into Sinclair, piece of cake. The only reason I don't like it is, I mean, Sinclair's on his way up, so it's another one that I could do. The only reason I don't like that is because Coleman and McCartan are just so reliable on field. I don't think you're stretching the most points. I want to get some value. I want to get a 9th mid. And I guess there's no reason I can't play Sinclair in that 8th midfielder spot, just until I get someone in. But yeah, it's not ideal. It's really not ideal. You get Walsh here. Yeah, look, I've gone on about it too much, if I'm being honest with you. So look, really tricky week. I still don't know what I'm going to do. Probably Martin to Walsh. There's a chance it's Darcy if Bruce is out. I don't know if I want to... if Bruce and Hayes is out, sorry. And there's also a minor chance that I do end up bringing in this Butler, which will look like this. Trade... Oh, Stevens. Then you get rid of Dacos. There's a minor chance that I do this. And you go Stevens. You go. Oh, how do I do that? I'll just search them because they're not appearing. You go Cooper Stevens. Yeah, hopefully you play McComb probably over him. You play Saligo over him, and then you play Sinclair. 340 in the bank. Sinclair plays over the top of Coleman, probably. In fact, yeah, Sinclair plays over the top of Coleman. Maybe even over McCartan. With no Tom Lynch, they may not bomb it in as much. Either way, Sinclair plays in place of one of them, and then you just play one of these idiots on the bench, which is a significant downgrade from Martin. So it kind of kills, kind of makes the trade a bit weak. 340 in the bank means that next week we get an instant primo. We turn De Conning or McCartan straight into Bontempelli or Smith or Walsh or whoever we want next week. So that's how that works. So really waiting on those afternoon ones. Harped on about it long enough. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Let us know what you're doing.